So let's get into it directly. First thing, this is a very basic. I just want it out of the way. AI is not replacement of Google. Because a lot of people say, oh, you don't need Google anymore. It's nothing to do with Google. It's not a search engine. So if that's what you're thinking at any point, please stop thinking that in any way. Why? Google has a huge database of data. When you search, tries to match your query and sends you data back. AI has no database of data. AI has no database of data. There is no data behind. These are just numbers, probabilities, which are saved. And it tries to match your query, and it is answering, it's creating that answer. That's why people talk about it's a completion engine and other things. It's creating those answers. It's not a search. It's much more powerful. It's creative. It can do a lot more. Because it's powerful, it's dangerous also, and it can go crazy. We have all seen that, right? And people keep coming up with examples of weird answers which you get from AI, and it still happens, will keep happening. And so that's one thing. I think we all know that by now, right? We are clear?
Can I ask you a question? So you say if I go into one of the AI and I ask it a question,
Yep.
like I would ask Google, you're saying it does not go and
No.
find the
No.
answer somewhere out there?
No, it does not. In fact, if you like, as an experiment later, I will show you, I will disconnect Wi-Fi. I have a version of model here running locally. And it runs on my laptop. This is a ThinkPad with 96 gigabytes. You don't need 96, actually 64 will work. And just one standard, everything is here. You can ask all the questions, it'll answer everything from this.
But if I'm asking it, specifically I ask it for a state law
Yes.
in Canada,
Uh-huh.
how does AI find are you saying it sometimes makes it up?
It absolutely makes it up. So I'll give you an example. So now let me preface it. They have gotten smarter. So if you ask it, you can ask AI now, you can ask ChatGPT, for example, you can ask, hey, what is the Austin temperature right now? Now, what does it do with that, right? It used to make even that up. Now they got smarter with that. So now their inference engine in front says, there is no way we could have this data because they're asking something current or stock price today, right? Dow Jones index, what is it today? What it does, it calls a tool for web search. In case of OpenAI, they were using Bing. I don't know what they're using now. Behind the scenes, they do the search, bring the data, and they report. So now's AI, there is a part of that search. And in fact, if you use, depending on the models you use, which show the thinking like DeepSeek and all, they actually show you. They will show, I'm going to the web now. I'm going to find this data. So when it is connected, it does. But the AI model makes it up. And examples I'll tell you, which we dealt with is, so we have quite a few marketing companies. One of them is Kuvare, which is the one which we got to AI. But we have True Blue Collar and a few others. So I asked AI, hey, tell me what Kuvare does. And it answered it really well. Same thing the way you're thinking, this is 3 years back, right? And I said, oh, freaking great. It knows what Kuvare does. How does AI know? It knows. Okay, it must be somehow getting it. And I said, tell me about True Blue Collar. True Blue Collar. Oh, True Blue Collar, it's an organization for blue-collar workers probably. Not probably. It said it's an organization for blue-collar workers. I said, huh? It's actually a marketing agency, other agency I own. But we started that agency a year back. They didn't have the data. So it made it up. It made it up confidently. Then I said, this is not true. Did you check the website? It did not, because that time the website connection was not there. So what it has been trained to help. And the help is, the best way I describe this is actually important. We should spend some time here that how to deal with AI. AI, whenever you're thinking of AI, think of a human being. A good, smart helper human being, when they don't know, what do? They make it up. We make it up every day, right? Or whatever level we know, we think this is enough. Now, most of us are smart enough not to make up to the extreme. And AI is getting smart also that let's not make it up so much that'll get, so the newer one, they've trained it. But small, subtle things, it still makes it up. And it doesn't tell you. Because we do. Every day, if I ask the same question of all of you, if it's got a little bit of a philosophical element or a little bit of a variability, every one of you ask the same question will answer it differently, right? Because your training is different. It's the same way for LLM. There is a variability. So it does make it up. But that's the definition of this model is generative. It's supposed to make it up, right? But it's supposed to make up mostly right answers, right?
So are you able to ask it if it's made up?
Yes. Now the modern one you can. Earlier it would actually lie and say, no, I found it. Now it will tell you, because they figured that out and they added it, it'll say, oh, I could not get internet. Sorry, I didn't have internet this time, so I just made it up. Or I thought it must be that. The other one it used to do is give it a YouTube video and say, what is this video about? Can you just analyze it? And everybody wants to analyze. I said, oh, great, it analyzes video and tells me. I said, no, that video has nothing to do with that. Oh, but the title was that, because it could only read the URL title. It did not read because then it could not, but now Gemini and others can actually read video. So it'll make it up, because that's how it has been trained. So they're adding few more things to help tell you if it is make it up. But it will always make up the best possible answer to help you. That's something to keep in mind.
So if you want the right answer, you go to Grok and a couple others and see if you get
Absolutely.
the right answer?
There is something which I use. It is from Andrew Karapathy. It's called Council of LLMs. So what I do is, when I have to really find out things, I ask a question. So this is a wrapper around multiple models. And I ask the question. That question goes to all. And there is a chairman who says, hey, this person is saying this person is saying this person is saying this. Why are they? Argue amongst yourselves. It shows the arguments going back and forth, that this one is saying this one is saying this. And I'll share eventually if you give me email list or something, I'll share the link to this. We have built this already, anybody can use it kind of a thing, and there is a free tier. So, and it'll basically show you all of them arguing, and then final answer will come out. That answer is always better, because you can see exactly what happened, because they all have different strengths. So let's talk about that. Never mind the presentation. This is useful information for everybody. The strengths are, ChatGPT is a philosophical model. It's great for general discussion of thinking about life and things like that. It's really good at that. Grok is amazingly good at what currently people are talking about. What is it based on? X, right? X is the data it is reading. So if you want to find out, did Oracle release this, and in this new version, this setting works, something very specific, how to set up something in your Fusion, you want the new setting, does it work? All the other AIs will screw it up. Grok will get it right, because somebody must have asked that question on X or Reddit or somewhere. They get it always right, right? What is Claude good for? Claude is like a button-down, suited person, probably finance guy, always right, wants to be exact, wants to control things, right? Makes up least amount of, it'll make it up, but least amount, because it's very strict in answering. It's very uptight too in answering. So it's not very creative many times if you want creative answers. So these are the strengths. So if you use all three, they're going to work through and produce what you want, right? So and the other way you do this is with prompting. Because you guys are asking these questions, I'll show you that why prompting matters. We heard, right, prompt engineers, and there was this new task and everything. And it's actually not that hard. I'll keep reminding you, I'll do this many times. Whenever in doubt, think of the AI is a human being. If you asked a human what all they could do wrong or right, and how would you ask a human? If you do that, you will get the prompt right. If somebody new walked in who's never worked in your department, if you tell them do this, you will tell them a lot more, right? But somebody who's been working with you every day, you will just tell them, hey, get me that file, and they will know. It's the same thing. You're working with the model. They don't know you. You got to tell them more. That's a prompt, right? So that is what those things are. Okay, let's see if there's other. Thank you love these questions, because I'm not going to go into what is AI, anything which definition is very vague. Basically, the bottom line is what we used to think humans can do, when computers can do, that's AI. Because you will get into a philosophical argument of what is it. This is not AI. Even AI people argue that the current one is not even AI. It's making it up. The AI is supposed to be like human brain and exact. So let's not even get into it. And it's based on the original AI training systems and all. Even generative is based on what was happening in 80s and 70s, and things were already there in place. So, but currently we are in generative stage. But anything which So that's basically the
Does
definition.
it still use probabilities, like the most accurate, the
Yes.
next accurate, and you can see? You can
Generative AI does.
Okay.
So this slide will get that clear. So there are two AIs. Predictive used to be the one which failed, kind of not failed, but in
What's
fact,
in
by the way, your Oracle, the finance part of the module or the accounting part of the module uses predictive majorly because it's accurate. You cannot guess numbers there, right? Right. So that part uses predictive part. So there is a lot of predictive in Oracle, or it'll be any financial system, accounting system will have a lot of predictive. What is predictive? Predictive, the data has to be in right boxes, in the right format. You got to tell me what this number is, what field it belongs to, which month it is. Then only I can calculate, right? This side, generative, no, you just throw all the spreadsheets, data and everything, don't even define the columns. It'll try to make sense of it, like human would. You try to guess, this column probably is this. They didn't name it, but I think this is this is monthly probably because they have 12 months there. Oh, they didn't call it month, but they're 12. It can guess. That one will try to guess. This one, unless you give it the 12 months data, it will say, I cannot draw the graph for 12 months. It's not possible. That side will draw a graph. It'll just make it up, right? It'll try the best guess, basically. So these are the two. So answering your question, that there is a predictive side. The big difference is this. So the predictive AI, UPS saved $35 million annually by coming up with the predictive way of what route should they take, the truck route thing. They came up with the algorithm. They should always turn right and things like that. That's all predictive. Exact. They did this 35 million. They can save 4.4 trillion by going this route. Because this one cannot, it'll just stop. I don't have data, I don't know what to do. That's where actually humans are good, right? When we don't know, we make it up. Actually, that has value. Sometimes what we make it up, think of science fiction. It's all made up, right? Science fiction. But science fiction has come out with ideas which turned out later possible. It's pure imagination. Pure imagination which turned out some things are possible, some are not. So if you can imagine early, that's what you do here, you can benefit from it. You can try that. So this is not to be dismissed, the fact that it makes it up. That's the big change in the AI world. This used to be looked down on. I mean, like nobody wanted to even try this. But now they're saying to the level where, hey, everything is actually kind of best guess anyway in the world. Why we are so stuck on this, right? So this is what it is. Like as a business guy, this is an example. So as a business guy, if I'm hiring a CPA, I'll ask a CPA, what is 2 plus 2? Everyone who says 4, I've got engineers who can do that. The CPA who says, what do you want it to be? That's the CPA I want, right? Right? so that's because that's the one who can strategically tell me a few things which I can go. So that's that side, right? So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so this has got. You guys will have access to slides in case you want to look through. But basically, this is amazing. But there's other problem which is there. This side, you can go back, track the path how 2 plus 2 was added to get 4. Here, it's a black box. You send the number in, number came out. How it was done, nobody can tell. Even the people who build the AI models, the generative models, they cannot tell how we got this answer. It's very similar to human brain. How do we actually answer questions when we are asked? Is it from memory? I mean, like, in fact, if I say 2 plus 2, I think it is from memory, right? Nobody's adding, right? But if I ask you to give me a square root of 63,422, you're going to probably go through some steps. So what is happening? So which is it? Is it making up or what's going on? We don't know about the brain. Same way about LLM, we don't know how it does it. I mean, it's set up so they know the structure, but how did it arrive to that answer cannot be repeated. It's not known because the randomness. So that's called temperature. There is a parameter which you can set with each of these models. So the parameter goes from 0 to 1. You can decide how much probabilistic you want it to be. Depending on your job, you can. So if you're really coding with it, you change those. But most models we use, they're already set at a number. Okay. Most of the slides I have here, They're kind of like infographics. So they're dense, a lot of stuff on them, right? And it's kind of intentional because instead of having one slide, I just want you guys to get the big concept, and some of them have repeats intentionally. This is a foundational slide, I would say, about current. Now, everything I'm talking about is generative AI, not the predictive. Predictive is almost like math. It's computer. It's like get it right. There's not much as AI to learn. You give it the right data, it'll always produce the right result. Great.
Is that AI?
In fact, I have had major arguments with the AI itself saying, that's freaking computer program, right? It's a if then else, basically. No, actually, there is a learning in that too. The fact it can learn from the data and start building, that's why it is AI. So it is actually AI. So basically, you give it enough data, it learns how to do the calculation.
That's the
It figures out.
IBM Watson model, the Watson
Yes.
IBM.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. Basically, they've got logical paths they follow. They will playing chess. They will compute every possible scenario, right? That's what they were doing. Every possible scenario, and if they can do fast enough, then they can beat a human. It was a speed to how fast the hardware can run, basically, right? Okay. So what can generative AI can do? If you get that, then its rest is just doesn't matter. What can it really do? So currently, there are 4 things it can do. Understanding, and 4 kind of media it can understand now. Text, I think everybody understands that. Or you can type natural language processing, and it can understand what you're saying nowadays much better than earlier days when you used to talk to a computer. It can actually understand images. And understand means understand. It can say, what is the object in there? Tell me. This is used in driving and others. Actually, there is understanding video in driving, but image is the basis of that, right? So it can understand image. It can understand audio. So what does understand mean? Understand means you can give now an image to it, which could be a spreadsheet printed, and ask it to interpret it. Earlier, you had to give the spreadsheet as a data sheet. You could not get a screenshot and say analyze it, because it can actually understand the image. It can read from there, right? This is more than OCR, by the way. This is just not OCR. OCR is part of it. Everybody knows OCR, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a lot more than that. So going to on the generating side, it can generate text. So once it's given the idea, do this for me, create this video for me, create this. It can generate images, audio, and video. It generates amazing music, by the way. That's the part I've started wondering that we kept on calling this paintings and others in art. There's a whole question that what is art? How do you define it? Why? I mean, why one is better than the other, right? Matisse was amazing, but if nobody told you that and just somebody made up something from AI, and would you know difference between Matisse and AI? Probably not. I'm not talking about just copying Matisse or an artist, actually coming up with a line of design, right? So it's very subjective, artist. So it can do it, right? There's
a display at the MoMA right now, the MoMA, Museum of Modern Art in New York City. It's a 24-foot by 20-foot AI-generated piece of art.
Yeah.
That changes depending on who's watching it, and they're saying the average person looks at the typical exhibit in the museum for about 30 seconds, and this one they spent 18 minutes looking at it.
Yeah.
Because it's just fascinating.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know about that, but here's the one which, being on the dark side, I know. If I create an image which has somehow likeliness to you, you probably see it, you'll watch it longer. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, just one example of things you can do with AI, because having a camera, figuring out who you are, and immediately changing things, absolutely. Okay, so, and transforming kind of, it can translate, it can take one video and translate to the other, so any transformation. But if you notice, it's intentional. I repeated these: text, images, audio, video. So if nothing else, if you can remember, AI can see, it can transform, it can create, right? And it can reason with that data. That answers all your questions about what can AI do for me. So all you have to now look at it, I need AI to figure out best way to place these objects here, or the table, design the best. It can see, right? How do we do it? We look at it and say, this looks cluttered, right? There should be a better way to wire this. AI can do that now for you. So all you have to do is go and say, hey, this looks cluttered. Can you come up with a better design? Because it can see, just upload the picture. So that's, if you remember just that, it can see, read, write, and create, and these are the things it can do, then you can ask it. I'm not talking about just ChatGPT. If you're building an app or you're asking Oracle to add things to your apps. So you look at the business, which I'll cover a little bit, that people should not worry so much the FOMO of I'll get left behind. That's very common for everybody, including developers and everybody. It's not, don't worry about that. It's just a tool. The problem is, like, as a human, you got to figure out what is the problem in the business. What are you facing? What is the thing you want to solve? That still, you have to figure it out, right? You could even use AI to analyze and say, these are the things I'm facing, which one is a bigger problem? But you got to still identify those problems. That's not going away. You need human beings to do that. And then AI will help you with that. So that part has remained and will always remain. So look at the business. So in fact, the people who look at the business who do lesser, I have recently a post on LinkedIn I talked about, there was a professor, Dijkstra, he is known for shortest path algorithm. He never used computer. It's one of the most known computer science algorithm. He did not use computer, he just came up with it concepts. That matters more than AI would have not come up with that, right? So those thinking, like thinking what is the problem, what do I want to solve, concepts still matter. Asking the right question matters even more now, right, than ever before. So as long as you see it that way, there is nothing to worry. Other reason there is FOMO is, I think, is all these AI companies, they spend so much, CapEx is so high, they want all these $20 per month users. So they tell everybody, if you're not using AI, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. So just subscribe, pay, right? They scare everybody about this. So even though, I mean, like it's counter to, I'm in AI business, I sell AI. I like that. They scare everybody. Every company is scared. They come to us and say, fix it, right? But I usually tell them, first find out. And that's the other problem, is people don't realize that sometimes we talk to business owners and they'll tell me, oh, this, I'm having this problem. Our customers hate how we do this product or service. Say, that's not an AI problem. That's a business problem. There's nothing AI can do for that. You have a mismatch. You have a wrong product, right? Yeah. What can AI do for you? So if you have a bad business, AI is not going to solve it for you, right? Okay. This is the other general AI concept which applies to everything, useful. So the kinds of models, and this is actually very relevant, especially the middle ones, and right one is very relevant to Oracle. And Oracle Cloud, especially the Oracle Cloud, that's what Oracle is pushing for, big time. All these models, the big ones we know, they are in this category, which is, the OpenAI, GPT-4, now 5, Gemini, these are all closed models. It's like a taxi. You pay for the cab, you go away. There's nothing you can change. It is as it is. It'll get you from one point to the other, but you can control. What it can do, it can do. Don't expect to change much. The open source models, and guess which country is way ahead on this? China. They have done everything open source, right? And I'm surprised that US has not learned from Linux and others. Open source is a good thing, right? It does get, the innovation goes faster, much faster. One other thing, by the way, that's my personal opinion, and Microsoft had considered it, but they did not they should have made Windows XP open source. Once they had moved on to the next Windows, they were thinking XP was very popular, probably the most popular operating system they did. Those of you who've been around probably know. It was a very stable system. And when they moved on to the next one, they had considered, let's make this open source. If they had, Linux would have died. People would have just installed Windows XP everywhere for free, and that would have taken off. But they just never did enough, right? And Linux has taken over all the server world. So that's the open source. But really, this open source, most of them, they're not fully open. All they're giving you is what you're talking probability. The one way to describe is sometimes they use as weights. Just the model structure and the weights. You can change the weights. Weights is what defines the training. So you can change the training, but you cannot change the structure. They don't give you the training data. True open source does exist. They give you even the training data. So you can actually repeat the experiment. You can retrain them, or you can see. You can do the same thing what they did. There are models in this space too, very few, but that exist. Most of it is here. Why this is interesting to Oracle and a lot of companies if you want your data to stay with you or in your private cloud, I'm not even talking about the local, even if it is the Oracle cloud, but it's still you can get your own private version, right? So then this is the only way. This way, your data is going up. If you were talking to, I don't know if this is true, I'm making this up, but most likely true. If you're talking to ChatGPT or right now, and we're discussing something about Iran, probably US government knows everything about you now.
Yeah.
Okay? Probably Claude not, that's what they got upset, they didn't allow that, right? They say, oh no, we don't look at your data. But man, your every query is going to their database, right? If government orders, I want to watch everything. But in this, no. Unless, of course, Oracle opens up their data center and gives it to government, of course, that can happen. But you could also do your own local service cloud too, right, with this. So this one is, so guess what all corporate big clients are going to do? They will be here. Not just for the government oversight, they're even worried about, the competition getting access to their data, right? And what is happening with that. So this is the play for Oracle, other big companies who are providing the infrastructure to host your own stuff, right? So the open source models. So other way to think is that open source is, you got a brain, you can retrain it, you can reshape it, you can do whatever with it at that point. On the other hand, but then how do we use, people do build applications with Claude, you do code and others. How do we do that? You put a wrapper around that brain. The main brain, before you send the data to it, you do something with it, right? And that's how you use those ones. So here, this is how this is done. So prompts, how you ask the question changes how you use the brain. So prompt is one of the ways to do it. Context is any additional information you pass. Then there is retrieval. Retrieval is if you ask for something and the data is in your database. In this case, I think Oracle Fusion is perfect example. You have all the different departments' data. If it was connected to it, even with this, it's going to go and ask for that data, retrieve the data, and then use the brains. But we are not able to change this, right? But if you had your own, you could have actually had the data in the brain. If you had your own brain, all the data could live in the brain. It will not live in the brain. It has to retrieve it, then work on it from outside, because you cannot change the brain, right? And the tools are web search, thing we were talking about. Those are basically tools. These external things which allow you to do additional things which you need to do. It's not model doing it. They're just using standard stuff which was existing, right? For stock market, they have access to there are stock services which provide you the stock price. So they just call that. So that's the tools you connect to it, right? So that's how the existing models get used. And I think I kind of covered it. These are the terms you'll hear. Skills is if you do something repeatedly, you can teach it and the model will repeat it for you easily. Tools is external world. And RAG is what I was talking about, the retrieval of data from external sources. RAG is basically Oracle is, to me, is being the old timer, Oracle is just a database company. So that's what it was always known for. So RAG is vector database. It's a yet different kind of a big, huge database. It doesn't have standard way. It just has numbers stored in a different way. So you store all those. The reason why numbers, because again, we don't store, this is one of the common examples that, all GPT is doing, it's guessing. So if you say, I love, it's going to say you because it's doing completion, because that's the most common sentence probably, right? But it is not storing I anywhere or love anywhere and you. So then what is it doing? It's actually storing relationships as numbers and weights with no number. It's not like it's translating I to a number. There is no, so this is important. LLMs do not store any words anywhere. But they still get it right, because it's just probability of which number goes next to which number. And they convert it back to letters, right? It's almost like the password. This, by the way, it's exactly the same algorithm as password. If you are in any good corporate system, your system administrator cannot give you your password, right? They can reset it.
Right.
Because that password is never stored anywhere. The password is taken, a hashing function runs on it, a new answer gets created. There's no reverse way to go and calculate your password. It's only one way. That's how LLM search works. When you ask for a question, it converts it to, again, like password, to the language which it is stored and matches it with that. It's never matching word to word, so there's no backward way to go. Okay? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just keep getting a little techie in there. I love the stuff, how it works, but.
So then what about when you ask like the next question? So it says like, do you want to know more, right?
Yes.
And then you ask a deeper question, it's still,
So there is,
going
yeah.
back to what it just brought down.
That's the context.
Okay.
So what other thing they do is, every time you ask in a thread a question, whatever you asked, easiest way to think of it is, it sends the question and answer back to LLM. It says, okay, what is the weather in Austin like? Okay, and then it might say, if it says, like, how is the airport busy today? Then it might, those two questions, if you ask them in a sequence, when you ask the third question, it sends the question and answer, last two, back to LLM. So if you ask a question, it can make connections like human, because it knows you asked those two questions. That's all it is doing. So the memory use keeps going up and up and up.
But if it hallucinated on the first one, then
So
it'll
hallucination works.
hallucinate off of that.
There is a context window, which is getting better and better. It used to be 256K, it's 1 million number of tokens, which is, think of number of words. So what it does is, it'll keep sending. And then it can do two things once it runs out of those tokens, because it cannot send. The total it can send is only 1 million, say. What it'll do is, it'll start dropping from the top. That's kind of it's a moving window. In a moving window, it'll just forget the past. Or in Claude and others, what they do is, when they start reaching around 80%, they take everything else from there and they summarize it. So you lose something, but the sum will remain, and it keeps summarizing. And that if you do that summary of a summary of a summary, eventually it will hallucinate. But in the moving window, it'll start hallucinating much earlier, and you can notice it. Man, I told you that. Why you were asking me again? I already told you that, right? Because it lost it already. But if in the summarization thing, it's kind of, it's eventually that summary of summary of summary will lose something, right? That's how that part is done. All right? Great questions. Okay. I'm going to jump to you guys on this here. This image done just for you. So there's a good news for enterprise SaaS. Why? In enterprise SaaS, the big deal about the enterprise SaaS is you have data from all these different departments, which needs to be analyzed. And it's kind of a hard problem to find patterns and everything. Guess what? AI is amazingly good at that. Without you actually putting it in a spreadsheet and everything, it can make connections and it can find things and correlate, right? So that gives it makes it really, really good to do. And this is not the deterministic one, I'm talking about the generative one. It can just look at the data from all different departments and AI on top, and can give you some guidance what's happening, right? And more you train it, what to look for, it can get better. So that's great. And that is what, right now, every company who's in enterprise space is selling. Hey, our AI can do this for you. You don't have to worry about that. You can now if you, earlier you had to go and ask a question, go into a field and search for it, you can just talk to it. I'm going to give you a chat bot and you can just ask any question, right? One other area, I do not know how far it has gone, but I do know this. This Oracle model is what I keep telling team that we, even as a marketing agency, said we need Oracle model. You sell them the software, it's so complex that they have to pay you month after month to run it, right? So we want, as a marketing, do something for them, but they have to come to you to keep doing it, right? So this case, in this case, this idea, so and the other part has been, there are so many consultants, right, for SAP and others. There are companies who just do nothing else but Oracle consulting and everything. In fact, all my technical buddies from old days, they just kind of first work for Oracle as consultants, and then they leave Oracle and they are consultants for Oracle still, but not directly, because they can make more money directly, right? Because why? Just setting up these systems was complex. One area, I do not know how far you guys are, AI is amazingly good at setting up things automatically. So instead of going through and filling forms, you could just chat and say, hey, what kind of departments do you have? How many of this you have? And it'll probably configure it. So if not, it's going to be there, a configurator for systems through AI, just by talking to it. And enough of software is doing that now. Just talk to it and not worry about filling a form and going through and collecting data. Just keep going and it'll keep asking questions and it can do that. So that's one area. Analyzing the data, configuration will become easier and easier with AI, and analyzing the data will become easier and easier, and those will be the things which Oracle and others will sell. Yep.
So you're talking about data retrieval and data interpretation and using natural voice to get at things.
Yeah.
What about data input, ensuring data accuracy?
Absolutely. So even the data input is the same way, right? Kind of where it was coming from, depending on the sources. Or actually, I'll go to the other area, which is there used to be these middleware needed, even now needed, right? You got data in this format, and I want data in this format, and a lot of engineering companies make a lot of money just building that connection, correct? Now, AI can build that on fly. Just give that data structure, it'll look at it and say, oh yeah, it's like this, and it can figure it out. And I want it this way, and I'm going to automatically build it on the fly and build the special connector just for this, right? So the data coming in can be a lot easier with AI now, for sure, absolutely, right? And even the companies who are doing those middleware now, if they're using vibe coding or AI, even if the AI doesn't do it in your system automatically, which I'm pretty sure Oracle will start doing it, that these, now if it says right now, we support 5 kinds of inputs, it's going to start saying, oh, we support these 30 kind of databases now, because our connector can be generated on the fly if you give me the format of the data. So that'll happen. If not, then the third-party companies who were charging so much more for connectors, they're going to charge way lesser now, because this can be done very, very quickly now. I'm talking about 10x faster, 100x faster.
And as reliably as the programmatic middleware?
The middleware, the end result is program. The difference is that you had to define every rule for every structure. AI can figure out that rule faster. In fact, programming is one area, because if you think about it, when you're training somebody on a data and you're repeating and guessing, what is the thing which repeats most? It's the code. Code almost always looks the same, right? So it's easiest to train on. So it's not a surprise that Claude Code does really well. In fact, that's one of the theory we were talking about is people try to, Next.js and others, they want to write programs with the modern languages. So the theory of me old-timers, we were saying is, you know what? If they just stick with the PHP and LAMP stack, the older ones, you might be better off, because it's probably trained on a lot more old data than new data. There was more old data, more old code than new code. So your chances of getting it right in the old code is higher, because all they did was they dumped the code and they looked at it, and that's what it's trained on. So of course, the new one can be done, but coding is kind of the easiest problem for AI.
And this might be a really dumb question technically. What is, if you surround your data with AI tools, what function does the SaaS solution play?
So the SaaS solution, to simplify SaaS, it's more than this, but the SaaS solution, what do? They basically have a common one interface where which produces the dashboard and reports for you. And data is inputted in different formats and managed by each division separately. HR does their part, right? Salaries and all are numbers which accounting needs. The inventory and all are numbers which accounting needs. So from each one, the data can flow. That's what all these enterprise softwares are, end of the day, right? That's all they're doing. It's more complex than that. There's detail in each, but that's really what it is. When you surround that with AI, that function doesn't go away. That function still is needed. All it does is, if the connection was not as good, AI can make it better. If certain things we could not read because the format mismatch, AI can quickly fix it for you. That's one. The second one is analyzing, which took humans to figure out the patterns. If you're looking for patterns, AI can do it better and faster. Those are the two things. It can really, really help and give you some insights with so much data. Here's an example of banking data. It's not exactly this kind of a thing, but banks would love to sell more products and services to their customers, right? If only they have so much data, right? They know what transactions, how many credit cards somebody uses, how many payments they make, everything is there. So if I was a bank, if I see Mr. X has 15 credit cards and they are paying minimum, which will be easy to see, they are paying same amount, I can send a personal email to them, saying, hey, instead of paying whatever rate you're paying, 10%, I'll take over all these payments and you have to pay only this much. That's so custom, that person is going to sign up. That's possible right now, but they don't have enough human beings to look through everybody's accounts to figure that out, but AI can do it like this, right? And send that personal email automatically and have them sign up automatically and do everything. So anytime there is a big, large data like this to be analyzed, could it be done before with programs? Yes, but would it have had somebody sit down, come up with the whole logic? Now, no. I could just describe this. I could go to AI, talk and say, hey, look through everybody's account and find if there are payments which are same kind and looks like credit card companies. Go and find the names of credit card companies so you can match the credit card. I can just talk like this. I mean, and this is something I can do it with account right now. In half an hour, I can build this and it will actually do it. In half an hour, this will start working if it was a credit card, as long as I knew this, that this is what I want to do. So now, like these, there can be 100 rules it can build. That's what can be done with the data analysis and all, which could not be done before.
And quick clarifiers, AI, we wrap software with AI. AI can reverse engineer all sorts of things and reproduce a system that's better potentially.
Yep, here's the answer. Bad news.
Oh, bad news, yeah.
Yeah. So bad news is this, that if I don't know the numbers, I'll be wrong, because you guys will know better, you sell that what size companies. But basically what happens is your software, I mean, yeah, you can help me maybe. What is the minimum size? It's like a $10 million company or $20 million company who uses your software. What is the smallest size company, roughly?
So it's down to like 2 million.
2 million, right? So $2 million company and higher end is biggest possible, right? Fortune 100 companies, right? There is a point at which they don't need you. They can do faster custom software now. Earlier it was not possible, it was too expensive. That line will get drawn at some point. Because they might find that custom is, why they're giving me this additional modules and everything, freaking, I don't even have that data, right? I don't need that connector, but because it was built, you're charging for it. So two things will have to happen. SaaS prices will have to drop. So it discourages people to build their own. This has to happen. And enough companies will say, I want my custom solution. This is freaking too much. I'm paying too much to the consultant. I can just have one person write this for me and one support it. I'm done. That will be possible. And this is the problem.
How far in the future?
Right now.
Yeah,
right now. So this is how confident I am in. I have not used Oracle's your product. If you give me just screenshot of every screen you have, screens, which is possible, right? Somebody can say, these are 1,000 screens. If you give me 1,000 screens, in 2 hours, I'll produce a demo which will look like it's working and have all your screens working and connected in 2 hours. The logic will not be right now, but it will guess by the field what it is. In 2 hours' time, the code will get written automatically with all your screens in, right? Now, most people don't need all those screens, right? That's the reality. So in a day or two, I can have a reasonably working software. Will it have bugs? Absolutely, it'll have bugs. But now, if depending on the money, somebody will be willing to hire us and say, write this, man. I've been paying so long for so many years. Yep. I don't want to anymore. So that line where will get drawn is different. So that's where one way is drop the price. It's the same thing like make the music so cheap that people will just buy Apple, right? 99 cents, who cares? Right? Nobody's copying music. The music copying stopped because the music became cheap. Right? It's easier to just pay Apple and have unlimited subscription. So something like that will happen with the pricing, with SaaS. Every SaaS will have to deal with this, right?
But customers pay Oracle
No, why innovation? Actually, I don't know. Who knows what they need more, customers or Oracle? No, Oracle is trying to guess. Me as a customer, I'm going to say, I wish this existed. Earlier, Oracle doesn't listen to me. I keep telling Oracle they don't listen to me because they don't have 100 customers who want it. Till it reaches 100, they don't do it. But now, okay, I'm going to sit in 1 week's time, I can have that feature, right? I can customize my completely, immediately. That's possible now. So this is the, so that exists, right? I mean, so those are the kind of things. Again, I'm not saying but there is a counter argument I've said is that, hey, just because you can grow rice doesn't mean we all grow rice, right? We still buy rice, right? Just because somebody comes up with magically faster way to grow rice in your backyard doesn't mean we'll start growing rice. So there is a point, right? So there's a line which will get drawn. Not everybody will, because just because you can build software, and that's the other part, which is the other extreme. People say, I can wipe code anything. I don't need any app. I'm going to write, yeah, you can write your own Word. You can write your own, why would you? Is that what you do for a living? So there is a point, right? But if it is too expensive, then enough will get written or a version will get written which will compete with you. In our case, we are a small company. We have, one of the software we have is, we track, because we have a remote team in South America, Philippines, and India, and US. So we track time and we tell them, hey, we are not worried about what you do, but approximately get in 7 to 9 hours per day. We want average over the month. So we use software called Test Time. And it is, I think, $20 a month or so. Per user. So it adds up for 25 people, right? So 1 week, we wrote our own. And it is actually better. And now we are thinking of selling it for $5 a user to everybody. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So it's that. And we didn't even know how to start writing that software. Our coders did not know. We didn't hire anybody new. It's the same developers who do general developers. Now they could do it.
How did you start it? Did you do the screenshots?
In this case, screenshots later, because it was more like first we did the functions part. These guys are coders. They didn't start with a screenshot. They started with the functionality, what I want. I want the time tracking. Just put it in a database. In fact, our guys are hard coders, so they don't even care about the screen. They said, let me get the data in database. I'll check everything is working. So just collect when somebody logged in, how long, and everything, and just start saving that. And to do that, they went to Claude Code and started talking. Hey, I want to build something, and it needs to work on Windows. It needs to track. So Claude Code said, oh yeah, there is this service in Windows which tells you which program is running. So you can call that. And so you do this discussion. It tells you what all. Earlier, you had to search through Reddit thread, find some expert. Which service should I call? How do I know which program is running? Now it's like you're just talking and you're getting the answers back and back, right?
You mentioned Claude a lot. You seem to like that one.
Yes, for coding. Yes, I love for philosophical discussions. I love ChatGPT, but Claude for coding, absolutely. Yeah, and Grok for finding out what's happening currently. Yeah, I mean, Grok has its own biases and all. I mean, I don't know what Elon does with the data on top. But when it comes to technical, it doesn't matter, right? Because he doesn't mess with the technical data, right? I mean, one of the interesting questions is try to ask any of these, which I've tried very hard, they don't answer. Hey, there is always a conflict between science and spirituality. Doesn't matter what religion. So logically, spirituality makes no sense. There's no logic in it. So can you help me when it comes to these hard facts, when they claim this? They say, oh yeah, kind of depends. I mean, it'll always answer, kind of depends. They will never answer. So this is the guidelines or things, but if you can take a Chinese model without the wrappers, real AI, it'll start answering. It'll answer questions. Because ours have put wrappers around them. Don't say this, don't do this.
Is that a concern of yours, the Chinese versions?
No, I like Chinese versions, except they also, if you use them directly, there is a state in India called Arunachal Pradesh. And that state, China claims that it belongs to them. So if you tell me about Arunachal Pradesh, the Chinese model says, I'm sorry, I cannot talk about that. That's all the answer it gets. So obviously they've done something, right, to the model. But any other model, if you ask, they will tell you. That's an Indian state, which is in China claims theirs and things like that, right? So, all right, so that is the risk here. Because software can be written quickly, so there is a line which will get drawn. Right now, the barrier to entry was so much lower. It's getting lower now. It was so much higher earlier. No, who's going to build the software? But many companies will at price point, yeah.
So Avi, Oracle's now kind of pivoting and talking about these things like our system of record like for our financials, for instance.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that, and that has to be 100% right, has to be unhackable, people can't go in and steal the data. Is that still some area that is safe?
Yeah, yes, so.
And then all the stuff that's going on outside of that system of record could be AI driven and
Sure, so there is.
replace the other things.
Generally, security is a concern with AI, but it's almost, this is, again, it'll show you guys my political leanings, but basically, when we say there's so much pollution and we go against science, who the heck told you pollution existed? It's a science. And who will solve the problem? It's going to be science. It's not going to be some touchy, goody-feely thing, right? It's the same thing with AI. There is security, but there are now programs which do nothing else but check security of the programs. That's one answer. So is AI secure is the first question. Second one is AI does have some weird problems. For example, when you do authentication, you log in and you're checking, and access levels are different of different users. If you're admin at accounting level, you can see everybody's salary, others cannot, right? And that's easy in a standard system. But now suppose you're talking with voice, and you while talking, you were asking questions, you handed the phone to somebody else. Or you had somebody else on there. I mean, it'll continue, right? There's no more authentication. So now, what is the solution? Voice recognition, actually tell a person changed. I'm not going to answer that anymore. And the data has to be siloed enough to know with the tag that this data can never be accessed by this, right? Which is kind of done in databases right now, but that becomes even more important now. So the challenges do increase because you're opening the things. So there's always a balance between openness versus close. Right? If you close everything, data doesn't get shared. 9/11 problem, right? They had all the information, but nobody was talking to each other. If they talk to each other, sometimes things leak. So there is a balance somewhere has to be found. It's the same thing here, I think. That. So yeah, this is, by the way, just for you guys. So basically I said, just compare for me, Oracle versus others. This is AI's, what current AI understands. In this case, actually, maybe let me qualify it. It's Gemini. The AI for this one is Gemini, which I used. So it says that what I learned is, out of that is that Oracle's agentic part, Oracle is way ahead than the others. And that's, I think, from what I know of AI, that's the right thing to do. Agentic is where AI can go autonomously and do some things and finish the work and come back. And in this, Oracle is way ahead of others, right? And so we didn't even talk about, when we talk about the analysis and everything, so think of this way, that something which will run automatically behind the scenes and produce your reports, find the problems in it, and do everything for you behind the scene. You never going and typing and asking. So it's not a prompt, oh, let me tell you this, make sure the report is right. Give me the 15 days report. You don't have to do all that. It did everything which was necessary behind the scenes. Oracle is ahead on that. I think if that's based on this. So the reason this is relevant is if you see something here, you say, no, our team told us it's the other way, then all you need to do is but that's what is showing when people search. If somebody researching, this is what they're going to see, right? Because this is what it is. An outsider researching and figuring out, this is what they get. So then if that is a perception, you got to fix it. It's a marketing problem at that point, right? Because the data set or your white papers which are out there are just not right then. Or they're not prevalent enough or not visible enough to everybody to get the message out. This also has this is a propaganda war opportunity too. Do it right. People who are searching, that was done always with Google. Now you got to do with AI. AI needs to start thinking what your company is, and it's going to present you that way, and that will matter. Because people make those decisions now using AI. Because especially for complex decisions, people do go to AI. If I want a comparison between two ERPs right now, it was very hard, right? Every vendor has their own slide deck, and one always looks better than the other. I'm going to just take both the slide decks and put it in AI and say, tell me, and go outside and find out what people are saying also. This will happen for sure when you're trying to sell now.
So where would you go to ask that?
Okay, I'll show you that. How many people here have used Notebook LM? Every one of you. So there are 2 or 3 exercises I'm going to give you. Every one of you, at least twice a week or thrice a week, should use Notebook LM. Notebook LM is from Google. So if you have personal Google account, you can get it from that, and I'll show you actually live. This is very, very useful thing. This is from Notebook LM. It's the best research tool. I'm not going to go through this. This is business leaders always think of the business problem first. Forget AI, forget AI. What is a business problem? And many of you questions you're asking are business problems, which is great. What will happen with this? How will the data come? Those are business problems. If you keep thinking those, then AI becomes just a tool, and that's how it should be. Don't think of like, oh, AI, first. Just think of the business first. And AI can solve a lot of these problems, right? Growth problems, efficiency problems, insight problems for businesses and things like that. And that is very, very useful for a lot of times, right? If you've been producing reports before, just upload that report and say, do all this, but I want the final report in this format. It's going to give you exactly in that format. So that's where it is very useful. And the other is, if you give it 3-4 examples of the format, then it starts saying what you don't even have to say what to do. You could sometimes upload 4 things and say, here is the data, I want something like this, here are the 4 examples. It'll automatically create the prompt. It say, okay, you want something like this out of this. So it'll automatically do the analysis. Because basically you've given it input and you've given example outputs. So it can figure it out. So that's the other framework. The other one, I'm going to send you this in the email because we don't have time to go through this. But the problem is, this is the first early discussions I used to have with AI. I said, your job was to be natural language processing and understand humans, and not asking us to write like a computer. You have to type the command, find file and all. But you have failed, because now you're asking me to learn yet another language which is called prompt. It's just you just change from one code to the other. So AI have failed basically, right? You should have gotten the sense, right? Why you're not getting it? So that was the initial thing. And then the AI's answer, well, you're right, it'll get better. But basically the thing is that the prompt, why do you need to use this format? Why cannot I just talk to it and do the right thing, right? So the closest you can get is, what if you had a prompt writer? If I gave you something, you just talk to it and it'll create the perfect prompt for you. So that's what we have created. I'm going to send you the instructions. All it is you can put it in ChatGPT or you can put it in Claude Code. It has behind the scene, it has put all the guidelines how the prompt should be written, which have been done by researchers. So when you talk, it'll ask you questions back and forth, and it uses the guideline and writes the perfect prompt. Then you take that prompt, use it. So you don't have to write the prompt. So it's a prompt writer, basically. So that's what we use for all our work now. And it'll be a much longer prompt, of course, but it is a really good prompt because it's using researchers' papers behind the scenes. And the steps, when you see the steps, you'll know you could do it too. You could add more stuff, but it is basically. So basically, instead of that long form calculation, I'll give you a calculator, because prompt writing has become like, oh, there's a prompt engineering, prompt this. You don't need all that, with this. So I'll send this out. This was, if you had time, we would have gone through the exercise and done this. Notebook LM. So Notebook LM is amazing, and I'll show you a demo and to prove to you that how good it is. Here's the prompt. You'll get this in slides. Only do this if you've been talking to any of the AI for a while. You can ask AI this. Actually, it gets even more interesting if you've been spending a lot of time. Ask AI to roast you. It's really good. So the one mine which was interesting I'll share is it said, Avi, you argue with yourself. You know the answer, and you ask the AI, then you double confirm, and then you start questioning yourself. So you know it already, because I just I'm the one who I want to play devil's advocate and all. So the way it went is very interesting. And then initially, when it first roast was not good, I said, no, come on, don't be polite, really do it. Then it's actually very interesting. But this only happens if you've been talking to AI for a while, right? Yeah, this is useful. It starts giving you some insights. This is a very, very interesting prompt. Again, if it knows you, it'll give you a 90-day plan with the research behind it, that why it thinks it'll actually get you 50% happier, and how will it track it. Because, I mean, like, first question, what does happy mean? Oh, there is actually research out there, how to measure happiness. It'll tell you and why this will work. And it tells you 90 days, and it will also tell you why it will not work, what are the things you might screw up. So how to watch for that if you want to do this. Yeah, this is a brainstorming partner prompt, like if you are a business owner and you want to figure out, it just kind of gives you a starting point. Right? This is where you hear, I created $1 million business, I asked AI to do this. Most of them are lying, by the way. It's not possible to create AI 1 million business by just kind of prompting, but it can give you some guidance on what will work, what will not work, right, with that. So that's that kind of prompt. So I'm going to show Notebook LM live next. And here is things, by the way, which if you guys need. That newsletter is once a week I send out to business leaders, which has insights on a higher level. My newsletter is not, oh, here's a trick you can use, because there are so many Instagram people who will tell you the tricks on this thing. They're much more what will happen, what we think, what matters, because it's the business leader kind of a thing. And on social media also, I'm new, still there. I hate doing it, but I am trying to be there a little bit. Yeah, because I'll rather be sitting behind a computer and code and change things. So I want to show you guys Notebook LM, because if nothing else, if you start doing that, it'll be amazing. So let's come up with something. So this is a research tool mainly, or a learning tool. So if there was something which you wanted to learn, the big advantage of this one is it bases the data on what was input in it. Either you can upload all the files here, then it'll just give you the answer based on that, no hallucination, because it's only the data you gave. That's one advantage. And otherwise, if you're just researching. So, I mean, and the ones I've done, so I want to do a live example, because otherwise I will show you how I did the ones which you guys saw, the presentation. So Oracle Fusion. So this is 10 sources which I used, and it produced all this for me, the data. So, but it's the big power is it can do it right here on the fly. So throw something out, some idea out which you want to know about, some topic or some maybe your competition. You've been curious about who you think, they keep running into and they are pretty good, and sometimes a problem. Maybe that. Let's do that.
Yeah, a question about Workday. So.
Okay. So I'm just saying this. I'm saying Workday versus Oracle Fusion. How's that, right? So, and this is what it'll do. And it'll first, because I'm starting from zero. Now, if you had some reports or PowerPoints, you could upload here everything, Google Docs and everything, just throw it in. But in this case, because I didn't have anything, I said just search. And I'm going to just go stupid and say, okay, whatever you found, just use it. So it's already analyzed all that data for me. It can do for me things like mind map from this data. So I could have said in the mind map, put something, but in this case, it is just the topic is so simple. So I'm keeping it like this, and I can do this here in the slide deck. And I'm going to say, when producing this report, create in this format, the comparison slides. And I can create a audio overview, and I can create a video overview. All will be not ready, but whatever will be ready, it'll be worth looking at it. In this case, I'm not going to even do the colors. I'm going to just say, just do it, because you guys know that colors can be done. And the infographic is probably worth it. So it's generating here right now. So it doesn't take too long. It actually creates that audio one, even if it's not done later, I'll send you. It creates actually a podcast of two people talking about these two. And it's like, the quality is like, and it has that, like, what about that? As if it's real people talking. And you can just post the podcast and, get this, and then the video, of course, the presentation it does. And everything, like it's amazing what it can do, basically, on the stuff.